Hello, and welcome to Adventures with ADHD, the podcast and YouTube series where I get to interview fabulous people that help us with our neurodivergent brains. So I'd love to introduce you to Vicki Jones. Hi, Vicki. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It's a great subject that we're going to be talking about, and it's about a book you've written. Tell us a bit about yourself and the book.
Okay, so yeah, my name's Vicki. I'm a mum of two boys, twin boys who are 11 next week. And one of them is diagnosed with ADHD and ASD, but also with a PDA profile as well. So he's got a lot going on. But he's also amazing in terms of how resilient he is and how he sort of copes with everything, really. So he's my inspiration, along with his twin brother, who potentially is ADHD, but copes really well with it. It's more about his attention in class and things like that. So we're not so focused on his diagnosis, but how they sort of work together and sort of support each other and clash sometimes as well, and how we sort of cope as a family with my husband as well about, sort of learning as we go along, really. I am also a police officer by day, but that's not my focus in terms of, the book. It's all about my boys and making sure that they know that they're supported, really.
Wow. Gosh, so twin boys, and that's lovely. So you said they kind of support each other and help each other, and of course clash as well.
Yeah, it's sort of a balancing act. Some days are good, some days are bad. His twin brother does put up with a lot, and some days he finds it quite hard.
Yeah.
So potentially there's a bit of inspiration there for a second book in terms of supporting the siblings with what they have to deal with and how life with a sibling with sort of neurodivergences can impact them as well. So yeah, it's about sort of looking at the whole picture, I suppose, for me.
Yeah, great. And so tell us about the book. So what it's called and what's it about?
Okay, so it's called I've Got You. It just started, I don't even know, I started writing maybe a poem, and then I thought, oh, well, I'll put some pictures with it, and then it kind of sort of turned into a book. I've actually got a copy of, this is the original book that I used my children's drawings for. So my son has actually drawn the rhino on the front, which sort of led to the inspiration of the actual the book that I had illustrated, which it features rhinos heavily, because when I looked into rhinos and what they symbolise, it was all about being unique and strong and being yourself, really. So I just wanted the character to sort of represent him, I suppose, in terms of who he is, and it all sort of fit together nicely, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, the book's called I've Got You, and it's all about just figuring it out together, I suppose. And there is no answer. A lot of people wait on a diagnosis and they get this diagnosis, and then it's like, now what? There is no, it doesn't come with an answer book. It doesn't come with a, this is what you do now. It's like every child is so different, every diagnosis. It helps in some respects in terms of understanding. And my son really embraced his diagnosis. It's really helped him understand himself, and he tells people as well. It's like, this is me, so it helps other people understand him. It didn't tell us anything we didn't already know, I suppose, but it really helped him to sort of accept himself, and it's given us a bit of power in terms of schooling and support and knowing what to ask for. But we've still had to figure it all out ourselves. Another child with the same diagnosis will present very differently, so it's not easy as a parent to figure it all out.
No, of course not. So do you think the book helped him to be so open about his neurodivergence?
Yeah, it's been a really nice process, actually. So the book was a bit of a surprise for everyone. I did it quite quietly and sort of showed him what I'd done, and he was really proud. He's like, I designed the front cover. When we looked at actually having it illustrated, I found a brilliant illustrator called John Ford, who actually has a neurodivergent son as well. So he really understood what I was trying to achieve, and it was a real sort of collaboration between how I envisioned the book, but how he could envision it in terms of how his son would relate. And then my son also had a lot of input in terms of how the characters should look and what each page should sort of be depicted in the pictures. And then the last page he's very proud of. He actually, this little guy here, who he has named Oscar, he's decided that it should be named after him.
Yeah.
And he actually helped us design the sort of the main character, really, and which has become the logo of the book, really, in terms of representing it. So it's been a really sort of collaborative process with everybody, and he's really proud of it and tells his teachers and his friends, so it's nice.
Yeah, that is so lovely. So he's 11. So what age is the book aimed at, would you say?
It's really difficult to know, because I've had some adults that have bought it for themselves because they can see themselves in it. I think in terms of talking and communicating with children, I don't think there is a low enough age, because I think it's all about just saying, I'm here, I'm there for you, we'll figure it out together, whatever you need. So although it is focused on my son who's neurodivergent, there's a lot of children who aren't, are neurotypical in terms of anything else, and they say that they can relate to certain aspects of it, because all children will find some struggles in life. It's not ever going to be smooth sailing. I've really struggled to put an age limit on it, really, in terms of, I suppose as soon as you start reading books with children, which, from the minute they're born, I suppose, you can, especially if you've got older siblings and things like that, you can sort of share it with them, and it sort of encourages that communication. I've had a lot of children or adults that have reflected on the book after they've read it with their child and gone, oh, actually, and it's come up with, oh, that's actually, I find that part of life quite tricky, or, it has really aided communication, I think, is probably the main thing. So I couldn't really give you an age.
No. And do you know what? While you were explaining that, I was like, actually, what is this obsession with, oh, it's for age, this and this? It's just that social conditioning. And you're right, it's the message that is wonderful. And you say adults have read it. You sent it to me, and I honestly, I did have a cry, because I was like, this is beautiful. And it's, it's that kind of book that I would have liked when I was a lot younger. It's really, really lovely, the messaging. And so where can people get the book?
So it is available on Amazon at the moment. You have to actually search for the book title, unfortunately. It doesn't, with the keywords, it's a bit of a strange one, but you have to actually search for I've Got You, Vicki Jones, and it will come up. I don't know how you do it. So you search for an autism book for children and it comes up. But yeah, it is available on Amazon. I am looking at other options in terms of smaller sort of bookshops and things like that to try and get it out there. But it's all very new to me. I'm not really sure how it all works in the world of, I'm no author, I'm just a mum. So it's all been a bit of a learning curve in terms of the best way to do it without spending lots of money on expensive publishers and things. So hence why I'm just trying to share it on sort of social media as well, and get the word out there that it does exist if anybody's interested.
Yeah, amazing. And I'll put the link to it in these show notes as well.
Thank you.
To make it easier for people. Yeah, I mean, it's lovely, and it's such a lovely story as well. And how your son has been so involved. He sounds great. They both sound great. So you said, didn't you, there's people, if they get a diagnosis, it's not just, then it's like, okay, what next? And there is no manual, because everyone's so different. Every family is different. So what tips could you give to parents who are discovering that their children could potentially be neurodivergent? What's helped you in the past?
It's really difficult, because me and my husband have got very different parenting styles. He's ex-military, so he's very black and white. He's a bit older than me, so he's very much like, this is my rules and we're going to do things my way. And he's had to learn that actually that doesn't work. And the more you shout and the more you put rules in place, the more, especially with PDA, the more my son just actually, he rebels and he will argue back, and it's a real battle. And now that he understands things and we've got that diagnosis, it's really helped them to build that relationship as well. I'm lucky that I have got a bit of an understanding in terms of jobs I've done and things. And I suppose I'm a bit more looking at the bigger picture in terms of, if a child's misbehaving, generally there's a reason for it. They're not deliberately trying to get into trouble. They don't want to be shouted at or told off. There's a reason why they're behaving like that. So for me, it's, we'll deal with the meltdown or whatever it is, and then we'll look at what caused it, how, the behaviour wasn't okay. We'll discuss that when things are calm. But in the height of it, or there's no point in trying to discuss it or argue, because it just really doesn't resolve anything. So for me, I suppose it's just being open, communicating, listening, and just but being human as well. It's okay to say, I'm struggling with this. I don't know what's going on. How can I help you? I'm here, but you've got to help me out. We are really lucky with Oscar that he is very articulate. He's able to communicate with us. He will work on things himself. He knows his triggers. As he gets older, he does get better at managing everything. Things were probably a lot tougher back a few years ago, but we've done a lot of work. He's done a lot of work. There's a lot of people out there that haven't got children who can communicate so well with them, who, their only way of communication is sort of physically, and that can be, really, really difficult. So I think it's just recognizing that you need help. That's not a criticism or a negative. It's not weakness. It's actually saying, there's lots of different groups and support places out there. So just communicating with services, schools, and just support each other, because it's really tough and it is really draining. You can't clock off at the end of the day and say, I'm done now, I'm going to walk away. It doesn't stop if you've got a child who's really draining. it is a hard work and it does take a toll on the rest of the family, but just listen and support and be honest and say, I really, this is beyond my expertise, but I love you and I'm here and we'll figure it all out together, I suppose, is the main motto of the book, in terms of, there is no answer, but we're stuck together and we'll work it out somehow.
Work it out together. Absolutely. Oh, love it. So why should people buy your book? What's great about it?
I think it's quite simple. I'm not a qualified psychologist or anything like that. I'm not, I'm just a mum looking at the journey we've had. It didn't start off thinking I want to spread the word to other people. It was literally for my son. But then the more people that have read it and said, actually, I can relate, or my son's related, or it's just opened that communication. I suppose it's, if there's anybody that benefits from it and it helps them, that's what I'm after, really. And it has been a fun journey with my son as well, in terms of working together. And his twin brother is quite keen to do a second book so that we can work together and have that same journey, which is really nice. But it's just, I think the feedback I've had from people that relate is that they do like it, and it doesn't pretend to be anything. It's not complicated. It is literally, let's try this, or, if this is what you're struggling with, we'll find a way. And I don't know if you've got any more ideas in terms of why they should buy it, in terms of what your thoughts were. And
that's, I mean, you've just said it all. You've said it all. And the messaging is so needed. It's so empowering, isn't it? And that it's got, the book acknowledges the challenges, but it's like I'm there for you, and that's what people need to hear, especially children who are overwhelmed and overstimulated and confused by the world. To see it there, it's like, oh, okay, this is okay. We can.
I think it's recognizing that you see their struggles. It's not a case of you've got to get on with it. It's a case of, okay, I can see this is difficult for you. How can we work through it? What can we do to help you? And it is just that communication. I think the first page says, the world is a strange place. It's hard to just be you. And it is, school is horrible. I remember being at school and I wasn't a neurodivergent child, and I found it hard. And, friendships and relationships are tricky. And in fact, that's probably what my son's struggling with more now. Is he's coped really well at school. He mastered a lot when he was younger, but now, as he's having a little bit more independence, and you've got the world of social media and phones, and we've got that constant battle of, I want a phone, you're not having a phone, and all that kind of stuff, it's a whole different world now, and parents have got a lot to deal with and face, and everything's instant. My son's very focused on money, and he's like, I want this now. And it's like, years ago you'd have to work at it, but now it's like it's at the end of the phone and it's all instant, and I want this computer game. And it's like, so it is relentless, and it's just sort of rolling with it, I suppose, and dealing with the next problem and the next problem. There's no, you don't resolve it and then it's all wonderful. It's like, right, that we dealt with yesterday, and now this is today, and there'll be the next thing to focus on. So I suppose it's just as much for parents, really, in terms of saying, I've got you as well. You've got it. You're just as important, and you need some support as well.
Absolutely. And I think that sometimes gets lost along the way, doesn't it? Because all of the support is put into the child. I work with parents occasionally, and I'm like, and what about you? Support for you? And they're like, oh, no, just, and I'm like, no, you need support as well, which is what you said, didn't you? And there's plenty of groups out there. It's can be a mission finding the right one, but to find that support is crucial, isn't it?
And it's support from people that understand. My best friend has got a child who struggles as well, and we often just ring up and we're like, just have a rant, or and I understand what she's going through, and she understands what I've so it's having that person that understands and relates to you. A lot of people, if they haven't got a child that struggles, won't really get it, and they will just see the behavior or whatever, and it can be tricky. So definitely find people that understand and can support you.
And you're very kind of positive and empowering. So your son, autistic ADHD PDA profile, which could be a whole other conversation. I have a PDA profile as well. And what was I going to say? What's great about him? I mean, he's obviously very keen to work with you on the book. What else is great about him?
He's very focused. He's very, like I say, he's very articulate. He's very, very loyal to a fault. He will defend his friends and his family to the end. Very black and white in his thinking. So we have to work with him in terms of looking at others' views. But he's very, very loyal. Very, very loving. We're really lucky with that. He does allow us to have that physical communication with him as well, because it can be really tricky for parents whose children don't want that physical touch and physical contact. He's very creative, loves drawing, loves playing football. He's got some really good friends, which is, I think, why we struggled with a diagnosis for so long, because that goes against everything that people think about autism, is that, well, he's got lots of friends, he's able to communicate, he's able to have a conversation, he's clearly not autistic. But luckily we had to go private for our diagnosis because he wouldn't hit the threshold till he was about 17 probably. You know, it's recognising the traits that he has got, but also the real strengths. And, you know, we're lucky that he's got a lot of friends. It must be awful for a lot of children that haven't got anybody that relates to them and understands them, and, you know, going through life. Yeah, he's really funny, really good to be around, but he does struggle, and it's hard to see, really, because, you know, when he's at his best, it's lovely, but when he's struggling, it's, you know, you don't want people to judge him based on that, because he does have meltdowns. His language can be quite choice at times, and you know, for an 11-year-old boy to be swearing, it's not okay, but we know that's not him, and that's just in the moment, and you know, he doesn't speak like that generally, but you know, I think you just want the world to see the best of your child and not judge on what they're presenting as.
Yeah, of course. Oh, well, thank you so much. Was there anything else that I haven't asked that you wanted to cover?
No, I don't think so. I do talk a lot when it comes to Oscars. So I probably rambled on.
No, honestly, it's lovely. And I think it's going to be really helpful for anyone listening to this or watching this. And I just really hope people get that book, because it did bring a tear to my eye. I was quite shocked. I was like, oh, I feel all emotional, but in a really good way as well. It is empowering. So, Vicki, thank you so much for coming along and sharing your story.
Thank you so much.